Peace and love to my people. What's up, y'all? All right, good day today. You know what, brother, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna come on here and articulate some positive, relevant information. You know what I'm saying? That's structured around positivity. As a result, I'm just expressing myself and I come on here and kick it. You know what I'm saying, with my people. You know what I'm saying, for educational purposes. You know what I'm saying? Regarding knowledge of self, eye-opening information, wake-up information, along that particular line of reasoning, right? Currently, I want to enunciate about reality, not being polarized into an unreality that seems to have a lot of people caught up in a certain societal trick bag that caused them to be a part of a certain systematic process that has them constantly plugged into what we know as the Matrix, right? Now, much love to my viewers, to the beautiful souls, you know what I'm saying, that's hearing this particular vortex of communication, to where your mind is being introduced to information that's deprogrammed enlightenment for your spirit, for your mind, for your soul, to where you feel, you know, in your solar plex, the solar plexus, like, this is good for me. You know what I'm saying? To where Brother John, the Nubian winner, you know what I'm saying, has to convey, you know what I'm saying, to you in a positive light for the edification of your spirit, you know what I'm saying? So, all praise due to the Most High in light of what I'm saying. And I want y'all to know, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, this is for entertainment or educational purposes, you know, structured around good intentions, you know what I'm saying, to not swindle you, to not scam you, to not want to be a source of you being backstabbed, you know what I'm saying, in a world, you know what I'm saying, that has been influenced by international criminals. Now, man, in life, right, we are to get better with time. In life, we are to develop into being individuals who possess the wisdom of God. In this life, may we acquire wisdom, you know what I'm saying, that will enable us to know how to navigate our affairs using our minds, with our brains healthy, and with our thoughts not impaired by certain falsified thought processes that do just that. Impair your thinking, right? Now, much love to the master teacher, Partner Bab Yanun, who is here amongst us to do a great work to help wake us up to a higher level of intelligence. Now, man, a lot of my people that know me from our hood that we grew up in, on the east side, Black Bottom east side of Detroit, Benson Street, Ernst Street, Charlevoix, Mount Elliott, you know what I'm saying, Van Dyke area, Jefferson, the west side, Dexter areas, Linwood, You know what I'm saying? And Davidson, and in addition to, like, say we got relatives, right, that stay in different states in America, right? Texas, Tennessee, New York, LA, Miami, Chicago. In particular, here at home though, where we is exposed to the current realities of black life here in Detroit City here, right? Now, man, my generation of, according to like what they call the Census Bureau, my generation is considered Generation X. Why did they call us Generation X? Was it something that my generation, what kind of climate was my generation born into, in addition to previous generations and generations that came after us? And particularly my time, though, or your time, excuse me, or whoever listening to this transmission, this is a universal communication or message, right? That's designed to reach my viewers, listeners, or someone who would like to support me in a way where they feel like it would be a cool thing to support me because of me standing for what's right. Now, man, when I was speaking about my generation, right, or the environment that I grew up in, to where, you know how it's a certain saying that speak about how we become a product of our environment, right? In my environment, I've been exposed to things in my community in the eyes of the powers that be, right, as a society different from the Eurocentric group, the Eurocentric societal group complex society, regarding the European-centric group complex, or they societal group complex where they consciousness is of a certain norm regarding being the racial group who are affiliated with certain powers that be, who have created what's considered what's called prefabricated societal norms to regulate the consciousness and behaviors of the people in the society by them being a dominant group of Eurocentric societal group complex of people. Now, in relationship to our African or black societal centered group complex thought orientation of how our culture is and how we live, to a degree, has been affected by white supremacy, subjugation, and subordination. Now, with that said, right, we find ourselves a product as being kind of like stepchildren of their ways, to the point where our community, you know, has been at the receiving end of certain class-orientated type dynamics, right, that cause us to live the way that we live, socially, politically, economically. in a way where it's different from the standards of the white societal group complex thought orientation of themselves. Now, with that said, right, where I was born and raised, like I was saying, regarding my upbringing, regarding Generation X, they called us. What did the X stand for? As far as like certain powers that be labeling us or putting labels on us as a people, to where does it apply to you? What certain societal norms that's put out here for you to take into consideration as a law and that has power, does it apply to you? Why is it that when black men who value intelligence appear to be someone who is not to be taken serious or something in this society? You know what I'm saying? To the point where we see a lot of like conspiratorial patterns, you know what I'm saying, that show itself to be inferior or to feel inferior to a real black man with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that has a mind that is open, or a black man who have a third eye that is open, you know what I'm saying, to the point where his third eye is activated, and through our language and communication we can articulate information in a logical, organized, sensible, sequence fashion that alarms individuals who feel like they are alarmed because of being in opposition really to our intellectual growth and development. Because mind you, I'm gonna say this here, right? What I'm about to be talking about in it are signs for those who can hear. But what I'm about to talk about in it are signs for those that have understanding. But what I'm about to talk about, right, in it are signs for those who can hear. What I'm about to talk about, right, in it are signs for those who give way to thought, who give into considering, thinking about what I have to say, right? Because man, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, right? And to spread awareness about certain information that's not polarized into unreality. Because certain mind magicians would like for us to be polarized into a world of complete illusions. Now, regarding what I was saying, that in what I'm talking about or what I'm saying are signs for those who have understanding. Now, for instance, from the beginning of this transmission of me having your attention, to where I don't want to waste your time with saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? I want to connect with you in a way where we are reasoning together. Don't that make sense? I'm in front of this camera, to where I'm talking to you on a rational level, to where We reasoning together to where what I'm saying, you giving credit to what's going on in a way where you giving credit to this topic to where what John's saying, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? John, the Nubian winner, baby. It makes sense. So, like I was saying, in light of this making sense, the things that I'm gonna be talking about, you know what I'm saying? You can rewind it to the front and listen all the way to the conclusion. You know what I'm saying? To where, you know what brother is communicating about makes sense in terms of us valuing knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Now, mind you, right, there has been a constant attack, you know what I'm saying, on trying to play us like we stupid. To where we have to step up and let our voice be heard in terms of letting these certain mind magician forces know, you know what I'm saying, that there is no match, you know what I'm saying, for our fighting ability to snatch away the curtains or to tear down the veil, you know what I'm saying, that propagate fake news about us and false information about us to the point where we have a lot of men, women, boys and girls and children or what have you caught up in a spell of ignorance regarding certain images that don't belong to us, that a lot of our people be glorifying. I don't glorify them images. I am not a criminal. I am a positive man that stand for positive images. Notice how the falsification of black people's consciousness is a gold mine for the forces of the mind magicians that want to trigger confusion into y'all mind, that got y'all distracted from the higher calling of our true spiritual sciences, to take us out of the cold-blooded system of usury that eat away from our people's true cognitive functioning to enhance or improve or ameliorate our interests in terms of our domestic affairs here in the United States of America being structured around organization and unity. Yet, certain forces have created in us or socially engineered in us a certain appetite for destruction of one another as a result of being under the influence or subordination or subjugation of European domination that created the dysfunction and a lot of self-hating black people's mentality in the first place. The source of the craziness, the insanity that causing our people to be looked at as if some of y'all or some of us, or even what's ironic, the intelligent ones amongst us, to be or like we are needed to be put in an insane asylum or something. You know what I'm saying? Where the real perpetrators of the insanity who need to be put in an insane asylum, not in the insane asylum, but in positions of power, who are the mind magicians behind the craziness, the psychoticness, the social pathologies, the psychohistory that we research, if we look into it, we will see the psychology and intentions of a people who criminalize our communities to the point where they propagate information politically to try to identify a lot of our people as the ones who have a monopoly on the crime in the black community, as if majority of the black community is criminal, connected with the greater communities of society, which is the real root source of the criminality in the first place. So no, those false criminal identities and images, that bullshit is not who I am. I refuse to be mislabeled, you know what I'm saying, into a certain identity other than who I really am, as if I don't have power over my own reality to define who I am myself through my own organic thinking, which sets the record straight for the public to know on the record through me having self-respect for myself, me and my people, me and my family, regarding my household. You know, like the saying go, I'm in control of my household through the spirit of righteousness. Righteousness dwell here. Outside my doors is a whole other set rules and regulations where the external world is full of all kind of thought forms. But based on my foundation, what I regulate my thought process through is rooted in a moral compass that can never be compromised by the technology of the mind manipulation that go on outside in an environment that's full of all kind of contradicting realities. You know what I'm saying? So, as for me and my house, we shall worship the Most High. All praise due to Patem Tithe all. That go by many names, but for the sake of like growing up in a hood that I grew up in, you know what I'm saying, being exposed to real, this is real talk, you know what I'm saying, being exposed to being once upon a time in the streets, right? You know what I'm saying, where I was shooting certain moves that was considered criminal activity, you know what I'm saying, or, you know, participating in the act of selling drugs during the crack era, or, you know, beefing with individuals, you know what I'm saying, for reasons dealing with money of some sort, you know what I'm saying, regarding them certain levels of drug dealing or things of that particular nature, and being influenced, you know what I'm saying, by or being influenced or looking up to drug kingpins in our neighborhood who we love and was going to eventually be like, you know what I'm saying, with the style and energy, you know what I'm saying, of representing that particular kind of what is considered subculture in the black community that we was exposed to for long periods of our lives, to even to the point where, like, from certain experiences of mine, you know how you hear about certain street rules, you know what I'm saying, and you have respect for them because you're about that life, but at the same time, something didn't comprehend with you fully, to the point where it appeared like from my experience, I end up experiencing doing certain things to where I never thought about the consequences for my actions at that particular period in my life, to the point where it would be looked at as if we were what they classify us as menaces to society, or super predators. What could a lot of our brothers or sisters who was back then as hustlers, you know what I'm saying, in comparison to like hustlers today, you know what I'm saying, to where, like they say, the game don't change. The game don't change, only the player. But the game don't change, just the faces. You know what I'm saying? To where they in a particular culture, to where eventually individuals is gonna end up getting killed, paralyzed, shot, stabbed, locked up, or in jail. You know what I'm saying? Or one of the other of those particular outcomes, participating in certain activities where eventually you're gonna end up getting into it with somebody out of jealous, out of some kind of somebody jealousy or greed. You know what I'm saying? And as the stories go, those particular outcomes is prevalent in the particular kind of lifestyles to this very day, which is a fact of life. But the point to what I'm saying is, if we out here living that particular kind of life, you have an opportunity to change out of it and be into and transition into a more godly way of living, beyond getting caught up in certain societal traps that was created for us to participate in, not knowing about the strings being pulled in the background. You know what I'm saying? For us to end up in a situation where they give you enough rope just for you to hang yourself. Those are games being played on the minds of certain people in society. You know what I'm saying? That we have to wake up to. But some of us learn as a result of getting burnt by the particular societal traps or stings in the environment, to where you get set up to where a lot of individuals fall into temptation for the fast life or fast money, right? When it's different alternative ways to accomplish being successful in our environment that we grew up in the black community, that's considered volatile. You know what I'm saying? Only the strong survive. That's our mentality. You know what I'm saying? To where, look, to each his own, even though to each his own, if we out here doing certain things, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna be cool with that. But as far as like me in particular, looking up to certain individuals, you know what I'm saying, who was about a certain life, that certain people, you know what I'm saying, in this generation, you know what I'm saying, they not about that particular life of the type of hard people these people was, you know what I'm saying? You know, may the Most High rest their souls. You know what I'm saying? They no longer here. But a lot of us who experienced growing up around these particular individuals, you know what I'm saying, we could have ended up being just like them. But the Most High, you know, allowed me to have an opportunity to like catch myself and wake up like, wait a minute. I'm not finna be contributing to the recidivism of the prison industrial complex, because it's a bigger picture in life as far as what am I going to do with my life. You know what I'm saying? And not be a statistic, you know what I'm saying, by these people, you know what I'm saying, who think they have a monopoly on labeling me a certain way by me being a black person of the black community anyway, where they created certain European-centered or European societal group complex centric prefabricated norms that they created to govern my social behavior, whether I know it or not, being shaped by certain thought forms in society that wasn't created by me, but yet I'm shaped as a result of the norms of that society at the same time, which is a form of mind control. So wait a minute, let me back up, regroup, collect my thoughts, get control of my own thinking so I can have a clear understanding of what's going on regarding the bigger picture of me having control over my own self and not be influenced by my peers in my neighborhood or being influenced by the thought control of the elites of this society. Okay, so as a result of me doing that, I have come to the conclusion that there is a battle for the mind in this environment of the planet that we living on, dealing with the bigger picture of the mind wars. You know what I'm saying? You have people on the planet, you know what I'm saying, that is different from what we was led to believe for them to be. Even about ourselves, we've been miseducated about who we are as a people, to the point we find ourselves in a vicious cycle, right? Where as black people who live in the black communities or black families, wherever you may be at in the United States of America as a black family, do you have certain reading material in your house that is an imperative for you to be raised by, to where you live by a certain African-centered group complex societal norm that govern our behavior, that work in service of our liberation as a people, which is nothing wrong with that. But yet we find ourselves as a nation within a nation struggling against injustices, fighting against forces that constitute what they call Jim Crow laws, segregation, desegregation, to where we have integrated into what's considered a multicultural society, to yet we see people who are different races than us, right? They don't utilize their free will individual impulse to independently act outside of their group think, to where race relations really have improved to the point where it is multicultural without the biasness. So are we buying into what's not reality? So the reality is there's still a major reality regarding us being on our own, to where only the strong survive in this hostile environment, to where certain political realities have to be improved, and when we are to get a grip on our own thinking to the point when we grow up through embracing the real right knowledge that is going to equalize our economic situation. Or, like for instance, in his book by the brother Neely Fuller, right? The United Independent Compensatory code system, concept, a textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, white supremacy, right? Because he was like, anything you study outside of this will only confuse you, right? Now, for instance, we want to get an idea of what this term power means regarding all areas of people activity, right? How the world works in all areas of people activity regarding code systems and concepts, right? Let me get to this particular area, right? Now, what's considered like power in all areas of people activity? One moment, let me get this. I'm back. I found what I was looking for regarding power in all areas of people activity that we are to familiarize ourselves with. That's why knowledge is power. Think about if all of our people, wherever we at on the planet, we have these concepts of information in our mind that's functional, that we carry into practice and use regarding wisdom with how we conduct our affairs through unity and organization, right? Now, notice how certain forces want to attack your mind to distract you from using it in a fashion that work in service of your intellectual empowerment for us to go to higher levels of consciousness by raising our vibrations, falling in love with positive habits to raise our vibrations, and to fall in love with the acquisition of knowledge, and to fall in love with the utilization of what we learn in terms of this knowledge that empowers us for us to have an understanding, understanding, overstanding, and outerstanding of these realities regarding all areas of people activity, that this is going to shed light on what we are to put on our they live glasses, what we can see, or what we are to activate our third eyes, what we can see. Or remember when I was like speaking in regards to what I'm finna talk about, and it are signs. Pay attention to the signs of what I'm saying. And it are signs for those who understand. And it are signs for those who have an ear to hear the logic. And what I'm saying are signs to those who give way to thought. And what I'm saying are signs for those who pay attention and listen to what the Spirit has to say to your inner spirit, right? For the purpose of utilizing this wisdom to be guiding principles that enable you to see, where you have guidance, where you know how to regulate and govern your affairs and see your way through things, right? Regarding the realities of this reality that we are living in. Because mind you, when we was born into this world, the world was riddled with sinners. You know what I'm saying? Then, through our innocence, certain people try to take our innocence away from us. Now, the Most High encourages us to remember the purity in which we was created in. We can't get around that thought for those who take heed to certain spiritual teachings. because the mind is a terrible thing to waste. It's a true statement indeed. So that's why certain forces love attacking the mind, to have people getting caught up in things because of them not thinking. The master teacher conditioned us to understand thought power is the most potent power in the universe. I'm going to say that again. The master teacher conditioned us for us to inculcate that divine principle in our being. That thought power is the most potent power of the universe regarding the divine mind of the all, Patamta, that we may be reflections of people who value wisdom, like our ancestors, that we are connected with, being the contemporary descendants of masterminds. Now, say for instance, in what I'm about to talk about are signs for those who understand. Now, this is regarding certain concepts about people on the planet Earth dealing with reality, not some kind of fairy tale foolishness that's polarizing our minds into thoughts of illusions that has no basis in reality, where a lot of mind magicians have taken a lot of our people's minds, which render our people powerless. But they have no power because of the knowledge they don't have. So when the master teacher was like, I'm coming to give you what you want so you can learn to want what I have to give, to break the spell of ignorance off of your minds. Because a lot of energy that a lot of our people give to certain false images regarding the stereotypes is a product of ignorance that caused them to end up getting caught up in a certain web of lies that feed off of their problems of not knowing, only for them to hopefully wake up from a negative learning experience to separate themselves from the unclean things of the world, where we all have an opportunity to do. Now, man, how will you know something if you haven't been taught it? Some of us have the blessed innate or intuitive ability to articulate certain things without getting the concepts from books, but some of us do get them from books. So, whatever the case may be, for the sake of me sharing this knowledge is to spread awareness, to create awareness, and enabling you to see something you may not have seen or viewed before, which is the beauty of learning. You know what I'm saying? So as far as this value in learning, let's go into the realm of thought where we come up with concepts that challenge what we believe. Let's go into the realm of thought where our thoughts is being challenged by what we think we know. Even based on us knowing what we know, where we know that what we do know is still something that we hold on to that keep us out of trouble, to the degree to what we base our truth on. You know what I'm saying? Whatever level that may be, you still got a sense of knowing the difference between right and wrong. So, taking into this consideration, taking this into consideration, let's go into the realm of thought where we can um, explore concepts of reality that can help better our understanding in terms of knowing how to socially deal with people and the powers that be, you know, in our world that we living in on our planet. Now, for instance, right, this is going into detail about the concept of there being three basic types of people in the known universe. So, say for instance, like we be around our friends and we talk about certain things, it may not be on these levels, and if they are on these levels, good, because we should be people who think about serious. We should be people who have serious conversations about reality on higher levels of consciousness. Now, regarding to what this is saying, there are three types of people in the known universe: white people, non-white people, and white supremacists. Explanation: white people are people who classify themselves as white and have been classified as white, accepted as white by other people classified as white, and major areas of activity including economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Non-white people are people who have been classified as non-white and or who generally function as non-white in their relationships with each other and with other people and with people classified as white in all of the 9 major areas of people activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. White supremacists, racists, are people who classify themselves as white and who generally function as white and also practice racial subjugation based on white, non-white classifications, which against people in any one or more of the 9 major areas of people activity, being economic area, education area, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. These particular areas of people activity being, once again, the area of economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Right? In the known universe, all over the planet, these realities is governed by these realities, by us being in the, say for instance, in this current cycle we in right now, being the sun cycle. Since the year 2000 and beyond, we have entered what's called the sun cycle, where we are on the rise as a people, whether you know it or not. We are on the rise as a people who is adjusting to particular planetary shifts and time reference adjustments to a new frequency and vibration of energies that's happening cosmically, that's connected to our biology and ether body and things of this particular nature, right? Now, regarding these areas of reality, that we are in right now regarding these mind wars, there's what's called the technology of the devil that's constantly in operation to trigger confusion in our minds for us to not be cerebral in intellect, for us not to be cerebral, for us not to be thinking. But even though we may think that we do be thinking, but our thinking is caught up in what's called distractions, to where the evil forces have gotten the consciousness of a lot of people in a trick bag of theirs that our people is falling victim to, regarding souls being harvested by the diabolical entities of the Luciferian conspiracies and things of this particular nature, right? Now, regarding your mind being aware of these realities, dealing with these areas of people activity that wars is happening at: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Now, regarding areas of economics, right? Economics, which means that the correct distribution of and or balance between all animals, persons and places, plants, things, etc. Economics in the correct sense is the subtotal of all of the thought, speech, and or actions used to produce maximum efficiency in revealing truth in a manner that promotes the establishment of justice. Now, for instance, regarding justice, we know that regarding the Department of Justice in the United States, right, needs a complete overhaul regarding real equality, regarding justice, beyond the double standards that we conspicuously see regarding the history of how black people have received justice in the United States of America and other non-white peoples, right? Now, for instance, right, we want to glorify the beauty of our nature, because we can't allow ourselves to keep falling into a systematic dirty our name up campaign, to where we are looked at to be products of a criminalized environment, like we have a monopoly, like we are the faces that have a monopoly on the crime in the black community, which has been a product of white crime through the subjugation and subordination of our people, who are symptoms of the original criminality of the rulers of the society. Now, for instance, right, we know that we have positive characteristics and we have negative characteristics. You have political rulers, people who represent certain leadership in society that profess to be images that's non-corrupt. But say, for instance, like the presidency of Donald Trump right now. Have y'all been paying attention to the anti-black executive orders that he been signing? Now, man, not to take away from a person's accomplishments, right? But don't you find it quite strange how certain racist people profess to not be racist, but yet creating situations to try to take the gains of black people away, to try to render us powerless in the arena of politics, to where we become ill-affected economically and socially, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to fair treatment, dealing with equality initiatives as adults with positive relations for our children, because the children are the future. But yet, this administration has attacked the educational opportunities of the children who are the future, right? Affecting negative effects with the housing rights of people, civil rights of people, affirmative actions, DEI accomplishments, you know what I'm saying, regarding our people's voting rights. Like, for instance, giving credit where credit is due. A lot of us grew up, you know what I'm saying, like, oh, Donald Trump, it's a cool white guy there. You know what I'm saying? Because when we was growing up, we always seen, you know, like, not really knowing the certain social stuff that following his career, so to speak, like details about his racial relations with people and stuff like that. But based on images we seen of Donald Trump growing up in my generation, you know what I'm saying, it was like, oh, Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying, he cool people, you know what I'm saying, because you always seen him, you know what I'm saying, like hanging out with black prestigious people in the arena of like boxing, you know, cool with Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, you know what I'm saying, Mike Tyson, you know, Emmanuel Stewart, Don King, you know, black rappers, you know what I'm saying, like when he was on Method Man, to Cal 2000 album, you know what I'm saying, he was on Method Man album, cool with rappers, you know what I'm saying, to where I see him in a new light now though, you know what I'm saying, at this point in time, regarding him, you know what I'm saying, beneath the surface of that, where it's like his true colors has manifested, like he really like a racist individual for real, him and his cabinet, you know what I'm saying, the current administration right now, where all of them is in support of all of these anti-black executive orders, where they're affecting to attack even the black history of the United States of America and reinstitute certain white racist history in America, in addition to dismantling black museums in America that have conserved the history of the United States, to where the history that the museums are conserving is not only giving pictorial illustrations of certain things that was going on in the history of the United States, which is relevant because it's pragmatic reality, is pointing to the memory that has been conserved, the memories that has been conserved of what's been happening in America racially all the way up to this very day, which is what it appears like the Trump administration wants to sweep under the rug to render us going backwards in time. No, we going forward in time. History is to be learned from. That's not an area we supposed to stay at. We supposed to be learning from history and the progress we done gained as a result of that history. You know what I'm saying? Is ground that have been gained to keep moving forward from the positive gains, not to regress or try to push us back into the climate of those times, which is like a mental issue going on there in 2025 and beyond. So, in the light of Partner Bab Yanun coming to set the record straight, right? To bring us up to speed with what must be done. It seemed like the nature of certain white people is fixated into a particular energy or trait that seems to not, where they can't get over their racist selves, to where they have to do something to provoke an argument in a way where 9 times out of 10 it's us as black people who come to resolve to take initiative of bringing healing to the situation. Because, like they say, it appears like wherever white people go, some kind of conflicts erupt. You know, we just can't be at peace and let things improve, you know what I'm saying, in some lights, you know what I'm saying, like the information was just conveyed to us about there are 3 types of people in the known universe: white people, non-white people, and racist white people in this known universe. So that tells us, okay, there's some whites, you know what I'm saying, who would like to be on the side of blacks with rational thinking of justice, freedom, and equality and fairness, with them kind of initiatives being taken by good people that is coming together in this era of time against the unclean spirits, you know what I'm saying, the unclean racist spirits that want to perpetuate the confusion and chaos, the criminality, the lack of thinking that people have, where they are unthinkingly working themselves into corrupt situations as a result of them not using their brain, but as a result being used by the mind magicians who love to trigger confusion in the minds of individuals who is not rooted in divine principles that enable them to see through the games that people play. Now, man, we got all kind of issues that got to get straightened out for us who have a mind to want to straighten certain things out that need to be worked out, because us as human beings, we are here for the purpose to be good tillers of the land, right? But yet, right, you have individuals, you know what I'm saying, who want to win you over into being a victim of the negative dismal crypt of your own mind. You know what I'm saying? As a result of mind games, psychological warfare, spiritual warfare. You know what I'm saying? Our thinking is a valuable resource that enable us to have a beautiful life, where we have self-control over ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Where our thoughts work in service of us carving out a special place that we can call our own without any kind of conflicts and negativity. You know what I'm saying? But yet, We live in a volatile, hostile environment, you know what I'm saying, where the world, you know what I'm saying, is at war. Or the rumors of wars is happening and things of this particular nature. You know what I'm saying? The prices in the supermarket sky high. You know what I'm saying? Where the middle class and the class lower than the middle class, you know what I'm saying? And this class-centric society connected with the upper class who pretty much ain't got no economic worries, to the point where the middle class and the lower class still look like they ain't got nothing compared to the upper class. But yet you got the middle class looking down on the lower class. You know what I'm saying? As if, you know, they not pretty much looked at as the lower class themselves. You know what I'm saying? Where it's about surviving the times with whoever you is. Because like the scripture was saying, rich, poor, free, and bond. Where's your head at regarding the bigger picture of the spiritual realm? You know what I'm saying? And that's where we're going to get deeper at. So, to free ourselves from the falsification of consciousness by these people, you know what I'm saying, who want you to fall by the wayside, who want you to get weary, who want you to get battle fatigue, because only the strong survive. We have to continue to fight. You know what I'm saying? This is serious what we dealing with out here. People out here stressed out. You know what I'm saying? From the stressors that these certain man magicians is creating in the environment. You know what I'm saying? When things don't have to be that way. But guess what? It is that way. But we not to blame. We innocent. Just like when we came out of our mother's womb into a world that was, what they say, shaped into iniquity. Because the scriptures say this world has been given into the hands of the wicked. You know what I'm saying? Who are of the father of lies, who speak of his own, as far as them being liars, who do evil continually, because every imagination of their hearts is in their heart. Wicked imaginations, where they invent evil things to do. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But yet, they think they are doing something right. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? They're going to just show you. In a world like this, we have to have a brain. You know what I'm saying? So don't let nobody, you know what I'm saying, try to put foolishness in your mind that polarize you into an unreality where you know good and well what you seeing in front of you is something that you know is real. Because these people are so influential with the finances behind them and the money behind them to make you forget that you smarter than what you smarter than you smarter than house. You smarter than what you think you are. They will have you forget that you was smarter than you think you are, because of your confabulation or error in your thinking. That's what the word confabulate means. An error in thought, a mental error. You know what I'm saying? That cause you to end up being tripped up by your own decision making, which is what these these particular mind manipulators try to navigate. So when they know you like an individual who have a mind of your own, and you see through certain thought forms that don't belong to you, why they want to try to consider you a threat? You know what I'm saying? They should be considering you as somebody who is on a spiritual path with a positive relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? So in light of that, yeah, I have a positive relationship with the Most High, rooted in my true spiritual science. And let's go into a certain particular area of guidance that's designed for us to see things on a higher level. Now let's face reality from these particular perspectives, right? Hold on, I'll be right back. Yeah, I got what I was looking for. Now just to resume going into spiritual elements, you know what I'm saying, about like how we confront, you know, so much like things in our environment, you know, socially, to the point where we got to have some kind of resources and thought, you know what I'm saying, with having an understanding how to deal with things spiritually in our environment and in our life, and have a mastery over our emotions and things of this particular nature. Now, for instance, right, this is going to some questions and answers regarding spiritual tools we can use and having a broader understanding of dealing with and like having certain expectations of how things work spiritually on this side and the other side, and having certain expectations of how to resolve issues spiritually, in terms of us dealing with things. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, right, is the spirit will take you to the next level. What is it about our spiritual essence that we know about ourselves, or we may not know? That's why in this particular communication that I'm doing, in it are signs for those who have an ear to listen and understand and give thought to what I'm conveying in this message, right? Is the spirit will take you to the next plane? Answer: yes. It is the spirit that decides whether you move to the higher plane or burn out the desire for the physical plane. The person who has strong love for the physical world will desire rebirth into the physical plane. Now, in terms of spiritual principles, like certain divine wisdom telling us, right, don't forget the purity in which you was created, and regarding our light bodies that's connected with the spirit realm, right, that a lot of us has to get educated about through spiritual teachings that can point us in the right direction for us to feed our spirit body instead of giving in to the desires of our lower selves through our fleshly cravings and appetites, in terms of feeding the low desires of the physical carnal nature, right? Like this particular biblical passage in what the New Testament talking about in 1 John 2:15, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Most High or the great Goddess is not in him or her. So having them particular kind of spiritual things to compare, that comparative knowledge you can use, and you can weigh it against whatever is before you, based on making a decision between things. You know what I'm saying? May I choose the right thing to do. Yet the spirit, right, fights the urge to remain physical, satisfying all the physical desires that stem from emotions, right? Now, our emotions, with the word emotion, you see the letter E in front of the word motion. Our emotions are energy in motion. The E represent the acronym word energy. Energy in motion, right? Now, what are the components of emotion that we are to know about, to have control over, that will enable us to have a proper balance or knowing how to control ourselves regarding our physical body in comparison to our spiritual body, our spirit body that has spiritual organs, right? Now, question: How are emotions related with physical desires? Answer: Your desires stem from your emotions. Your desires stem from your emotions. For example, you have sexual emotions, which is the desire for satisfaction and pleasure. Then you have the gluttonous desires or emotions, which is the desire for an extreme amount of food. And you have greed emotions, which is the desire for everything, whether you need it or not, you still want it. And when you don't get these things, it sets these emotions into motion, creating another emotion when they don't get fulfilled. In some cases, people get angry, mad, upset, because they can't have their way, losing control over themselves due to anger, because of their desire not being fulfilled. It has been frustrated by some kind of impediment that interfered with their greed. It interfered with their lust. It interfered with their gluttony. It interfered with their greediness. Wanting something, whether they need it or not, they still want it and don't want you to have it. They want it for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Now, check this out, right? These are the emotions that if you don't get what you want, makes you angry, makes you fight, want to fight, even makes you kill. In some instances, yes, we see a lot of news reports where people have lost total control of themselves, to where they have committed extreme acts of crossing the line, where they end up killing somebody as a result of being out of control, just as a result of them not having their way. You know what I'm saying? Anger is the most devastating emotions. Anger. So having control of our emotions regarding anger, know how to keep it subdued, where we know how to quiet our spirit, where we experience spiritual ease, where we have peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? Where the contentment of our mind ain't disturbed as a result, having control over our emotions because of the internal work we have done on our own selves. that other people neglecting to do, because we have 24 hours in a day. What is we doing through the course of the day to work on ourselves, to have mastery over ourselves? You know what I'm saying? Fighting the good fight to make sure that our internal shadow work is being done. You know what I'm saying? This goes on to read, know thyself. Our ancestors told us, know thyself. For instance, gluttony causes you to overeat and lead to obesity. That in turn leads to sickness and disease, which can lead to death. Fat around the heart. Sex causes you to lust and leads to sickness and disease that can lead to death, AIDS, and many other diseases that there is no cure for. And we know it's all kind of stuff circulating out here today regarding these STDs and the spiritual STDs, the spiritually transmitted diseases from these unclean spirits and demonic forces out here that people house, that's inside of people. Don't let your sexual desires let you go take a chance you wouldn't normally take and regret them once you have AIDS or some kind of other disease. I am not saying don't have feelings. However, you must be in control of your emotions, which is actual fact. I concur, yes. We have to be in control of our emotions. All the glitter ain't gold out here. You know what I'm saying? Don't get caught up in chasing after these shiny things that's connected to detriment. You know what I'm saying? That's intended to deceive you. You know what I'm saying? To get you hook, line, and sinker, following behind somebody who don't know where they going. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing, right? We do have to be mindful of the type of people we listen to. Because, mind you, if we listen to certain people out here who don't have some kind of moral compass and spiritual conviction and a certain level of information, and we following these particular people, you both gonna fall into a ditch. It's inevitable that it's gonna happen. Like, we have many wise sages that have come amongst us as a people to wake us up to certain schools of thought, right? To where we are to value certain wisdom, but we are not to endanger ourselves around fools. You know what I'm saying? But yet, it's certain societal norms in place to get our people falling into a particular vicious cycle of being negative statistics. That's why you got to come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her sins. But they have reached unto the heavens. Straight up, they have reached unto the heavens. Look around. You know what I'm saying? It's advised, you know what I'm saying, by the spiritual masters for us to separate ourselves from the unclean things of the world out here. You know what I'm saying? That glorify. You know what I'm saying? We are encouraged to separate ourselves from the unclean things of the world out here. You know what I'm saying? Where we are encouraged to save ourselves. This goes on to read, right? Don't let your anger get you into trouble because you can't control your mouth and regret once you've killed someone, or you're at the point where you are about to be killed. When you are over emotional, you can get into a fight and have regrets. Like, say for instance, Saddam Hussein, had he controlled his greed of wanting the wealth of Kuwait, he would not be out of water, and his people will not be starving to death. And there is no Allah for him. Now, for instance, right? Say, for instance, you know what I'm saying? We, in a black community, pool our resources where, we're considered a nation within a nation. You know what I'm saying? And my natural mate is my black woman. Is she in her right mind? Am I in my right mind? What make the black man and black woman in their right mind in America as a unified body connected to a certain body politic where we govern ourselves through certain cultural norms as a political statement that represent our group togetherness or our relationship togetherness, to represent a certain avenue of social relations, right, that govern our behavior, that is free from the negative images that have been portrayed of us being dysfunctional on a wide global scale here in the United States of America, to the point where we have really collectively came into a certain social order, right? To where we have pooled our resources, to where we have international connections with Africa and the rest of the Sankofa, so to speak, of our people regarding the global African community, Pan-Africanism, African-centered perspectives on collective international unity of our people, right? Thinking real big, to the point where our people have our own industries, food security systems, and militaries to protect the resources of our nation and to protect the people of our nation, right? Now, thinking on that kind of level, say for instance, we thinking on that level, but we not there yet. It's always something in a way dealing with our destiny in America. Are we going to forever just be an integrated people without being independent? You know what I'm saying? In terms of, as a result of the developments that have took place in the United States of America that has been done by our hands. You know what I'm saying? To the point where we need visas to go to the motherland, when we should be able to go to our home countries anytime we get ready, like Europeans go to their country anytime, their homelands anytime they get ready. You know what I'm saying? Look at us. You know what I'm saying? It's like, say for instance, right? You have alternative information channels like InfoWars, right? Where you got guys like Alex Jones who talk about certain realities regarding the deep state realities, and you got guys like in California, the fuller to informer. We talk about certain realities, you know what I'm saying? Or gentlemen like Tex Mars, who European individual talk about certain outside of the box realities and what's his name? Uh, you got other individuals, Jordan Maxwell, who talk about certain outside the box esoteric information. You got these individuals talk about certain other white supremacy forces that perpetuate certain groupthink, you know what I'm saying, regarding certain agendas that's in sync with the Georgia Guidestones that was talking about that depopulation program, you know what I'm saying, on the earth, on the planet, to the point where how has that not been eradicated by the United States military, you know what I'm saying, as far as that particular group think having plans, you know what I'm saying, of something like that to go on domestically on American soil? See, that's why they say the American people have to wake up. You know what I'm saying? Like that movie They Live. Put your They Live glasses on. We trying to get, say, like certain alternative information channels that be here on YouTube, right? To open people's eyes to protect our country. Not only our country, but our planet. That's what Partner Bab Yanoon, you know what I'm saying, who is falsely incarcerated now, who is falsely incarcerated now, who need to be free, you know what I'm saying, to continue the good works that he was doing regarding broadening our knowledge spectrum with the right knowledge, correct information, you know what I'm saying, dealing with certain questions and answers to take us to the next level regarding the extraterrestrial realities and the Star Wars, the extraterrestrial realities and the Star Wars that's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than what we've been fed, what's going on around us. So for the sake of us who are truth seekers, we have the right to freedom of speech and communicate what the Holy Spirit had to say. You know what I'm saying? Look, through the Holy Spirit, by us being connected to the Holy Spirit, right? We have a voice to be made known. You know what I'm saying? We show that we have a healthy vessel that have the ability to have discernment of spirit in our environment that appear to have be full of people who have fallen asleep. You know what I'm saying? But yet, you got certain forces, you know what I'm saying, that want to attack the woke population to rock them back to sleep. No, like the message to the black man said, we have to be always pretty much keeping certain knowledge and remembrance so we don't get lulled back to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So to be conscious and woke to be conscious and woke is a asset for you and me. You know what I'm saying? To be able to see through the technology of the devil. You know what I'm saying? That come in many shapes, forms, colors, and peoples. Even things. You know what I'm saying? Spirit forces, you know what I'm saying, is, you know, connected and attached to a lot of things that vibrate certain ways, that give off certain vibrations. You know what I'm saying? Where spiritually sensitive people can pick up on. Hopefully you being one of the people who can, as a chosen one. You know what I'm saying? In this spiritual battle. Look, this goes on to read, right? Occasionally, right? Hold on. Okay, this goes on to read, right? Or a person, say for instance, a person who is, wait a minute. I don't want to waste no time. Hold on. I found where I was at regarding emotions, right? Okay, now for instance, regarding a person who is obese, now regrets that he or she is so fat that he or she can hardly get around and has to struggle to breathe. So now you see these emotions lead to other emotions like fear and regret. And unless you are in control of your emotions, you will not be able to encourage the soul to rise into the spiritual plane. So, in other words, whether we know it or not, one aspect of our body affects another aspect of our body, which affects another aspect of our bodies, that causes us to be worn down into low vibration, that affects our emotions. Our emotions affects our spirit. Our spirit affects our soul. You know what I'm saying? As a result of the way we think. So, in order for us to be uplifted through beyond the carnal aspects of ourselves, you know what I'm saying, when we in tune with our spirit, when we properly nurturing our soul through right knowledge, which is correct information that enable us to know how to deal with ourselves spiritually. You know what I'm saying? We can have mastery over our emotions. Question: why is anger the most devastating emotion? Answer: of all the emotional barriers, the most devastating is anger. Anger is the greatest enemy to peace, but it is the most negative. It is a modification of lust. For when one's desires are not gratified, one becomes angry. The mind then becomes confused. Memory and understanding is lost. And things are said and done without awareness or control, or without you even thinking, because of anger. You ain't really thinking straight when you get angry because of you not having your way. You gotta understand something. And there's going to be times when we're not going to have our way. So instead of reacting in anger, we have to just accept, like, okay, all is well. Cool. I'm not going to get upset. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to allow no greed, you know what I'm saying, to take over. I'm not going to let no, lustful desire take over. I'm just going to be at peace with myself, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? Because I have control over myself. This goes on to read: anger does great danger to one's own physical and psychic body, as well as those of others. The whole nervous system is shattered by one fit of anger. Occasionally, the spiritual teacher expresses a little anger outwardly in order to correct a student. However, this should not be confused with an emotional outburst. Though he or she may appear hot and indignant on the outside, the true master remains cool within. For his or her motive is the growth of the disciples, his or her disciples. Only when anger is the outcome of selfish or petty motives is it wrong. Anger is very difficult to control, and especially when it has been allowed to grow and become habitual. It is the most easily controlled when it is small, when it is a small ripple in the subconscious mind. One should watch the mind carefully for any sign of irritability. Then control is no problem. Frequent irritation over trifling matters is a sign of mental weakness. Notice how in the black community, you know what I'm saying, or people, or white people, whoever, you know what I'm saying, with anger problems, you know what I'm saying, obviously they lack the self-control and knowledge, you know what I'm saying, to have that control over them feelings, you know what I'm saying. So people, you know what I'm saying, it will be wise for people to learn these particular kind of sciences, you know what I'm saying, that will help them be able to keep their cool, you know what I'm saying, regarding, you know, circumstances or situations that may try to trigger anger. Right. Now, regarding frequent. Okay, hold on. I don't want to waste no time. Hold on. I found where I was at. Okay, now, anger is the outcome of selfish or petty motives. It is wrong. Anger is very difficult to control, and especially when it has been allowed to grow and become habitual. It is the most easily controlled when it is a small ripple in the subconscious mind. One should watch the mind carefully for any signs of irritability. Then control is no problem. Frequent irritation over trifling matters is a sign of mental weakness. This can be overcome by carefully developing its counterforce, the virtue of patience. Just as heat and light can be transferred into electricity, anger can be transferred into spiritual energies. All vices, unwanted qualities, and wrong actions stem from anger. When anger has been controlled, all others die by themselves. Anger gains strength with repetition, and in checking it, one gradually strengthens the will, our willpower over our emotions. When we have control over our emotions through using our willpower. Now, for instance, right? Question: what is meant by the spiritual plane regarding spiritual vibrations? When one speaks of the spiritual plane, also called the astral plane, as well as other planes, this raises a question. What is a plane? The most common mistake is imagining planes as layers laying one above the other in space. This is incorrect. Everything is vibration, which manifests itself in different modes and schemes and moods. The best way to express vibration is called mood. So planes are moods and schemes of vibration, existing in very unique and unified forms, and may be linked to varying degrees of temperature, such as extremely low, or extremely high temperatures. right? The natural mood of vibration range from very high and fast to very low and slow, and are distinct and intricate moods of vibration woven into one another so uniquely that one cannot determine where one plane begins and the other ends. Nothing in existence rests. Every since man has vibrates, and nothing in existence rests. Every sense man has vibrates, and everything you see, hear, or touch vibrates. Vibration is what keeps the universe in order. The soul is what enables man to tune into these vibrations of the universe. Man vibrates on the alpha wavelength. That is the middle C note in music. This note causes vibration within the chemistry of the body itself. There are 7 planes, just as there are 7 notes in music. And each plane has its purpose. As all things have their purpose, just as you have a purpose for being here. Right? Now, regarding our purpose for being here, do we know our purpose? Some of us do. Some of us don't. Some of us still figuring out our purpose in terms of why we here. We know that we here for a reason. A lot of us have gifts and talents that we aren't using. Some of us have gifts and talents that we are using. But dealing with the greater scheme of things in this big world and reality, this existence that we are in is made up of duality forces. Yet we have a will that will enable us to either we're going to be a light worker, or we're going to be somebody of what they call the sinister left-hand path, you know what I'm saying, which is the path of negativity and, you know, doing craziness out here, you know what I'm saying, to the point where these particular type of people who do craziness that be out their minds, where they need to be in an insane asylum, you know what I'm saying, to the point where it gets deeper, you know what I'm saying, regarding the realities of the mental warfare that is continuous while we in on this physical plane as spiritual beings, regardless of being gods, you know what I'm saying, with this human existence connected to the Most High, the All, right? We are indeed dealing with forces, you know what I'm saying, that we have to master in terms of us being fighters to do right in a world that's trying to manipulate people into doing wrong. But yet, you know what I'm saying, in this world, you know what I'm saying, there are people that stand for what's right, you know what I'm saying, who vibrate through the vibration of love, you know what I'm saying. Now it's this other area that I want to go. Hold on, let me look for this. Yeah, I'm back. I had to get some more sources of information that I wanted to communicate about, right? Now, this is going into some investigative reports dealing with social issues and reality of our history in the United States of America, which is Black history. Now, these are things, you know what I'm saying, that Donald Trump can't erase regarding the pragmatic reality of the history of the United States of America. Now, mind you, history also give us like a evidence of records of things that actually took place for us to learn from. You know what I'm saying? That serve as a example, you know, for us to pretty much improve our social relations and also don't repeat certain histories, you know what I'm saying, that appear to be conspicuous atrocities of regarding crimes against humanity, right? But yet, there's a lot of things being swept under the rug, right, to keep out of our consciousness, to where the guilty parties that's responsible for these certain um, activities of theirs, you know what I'm saying, are actually negative characteristics and aspects that they have done that they don't want to be highlighted. But they quit, though, to highlight or take credit for positive things that they have done, which can be applauded. But they hate, you know what I'm saying, to see someone point out the negative characteristics that they are responsible for that contributed to a situation regarding the subjugation or criminalization of or where the negative characteristics of these certain forces contributed to the oppressive conditions of the black nation, of the black race here in America. Now watch this, right? These particular certain findings, right, where it's documented regarding these race relations and social realities. Okay, now regarding the brother Booker T. Washington, by 1890, Booker T. Washington became the primary leader of black people in the United States. He worked diligently to produce institutions for the advancement of our race. He focused on trade schools and agricultural schools to produce black students with means to go into business for ourselves and build our own communities, which is like on a national scale in Africa, like how Ibrahim Traore is successfully accomplishing in Burkina Faso right now, and other brothers, you know what I'm saying, that's collaborating with that leadership, you know, to grow over there in Africa. Specifically, like these ideas for us here in the United States of America, right, regarding the black communities, to organize and do for ourselves as well. Now, he was phenomenal at convincing wealthy Anglo-Saxons or white people to finance his vision for black self-development in the skilled trades. He was not fond of the Jews because he saw them as exploiters and even harmful to the interests of black people in America. From Anti-Semitism in America by Leonard Dinnerstein. And as late as the 1890s, a friend contained him to keep his little prejudices about the Jews out of his speeches. Washington seemed to have thought of Jews as exploiters, shopkeepers, and usurious creditors, and from time to time differentiated the Jew and the white man. It was not politic, however, to continue denigrating Jews, even mildly, since wealthy Jews could be tapped to help finance Tuskegee, or as Harlan put it, in this effort to secure donations to his school. It was in his interest to drop his prejudice, and publicly he did so. Many of his 20th century writings, in fact, praised the Jews, but in private, at least on one occasion, he seemed to be quite definite about where and how Tuskegee's institutional funds should be spent. In a 1904 note to his business manager, Washington wrote, "I very much fear that we are getting our trade too much centered in the hands of a few Jews. Whenever we can get equally fair treatment and prices and quality of goods from persons other than Jews, I prefer to have our trade scattered among them. In creating public sentiment in favor of the institution, the Jews cannot be of much service." Right? Now, regarding the history of like the Jewish people, right? Regarding Jews financed the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. Jews undermined Reconstruction and replaced chattel slavery with racism. Jews ran black people out of skilled labor, and Jews founded the NAACP to destroy Booker T. Washington efforts at revitalizing black skilled labor and to take control over the black socio-political landscape. Right? Now, you have people with certain statuses, you know what I'm saying, that we find ourselves, you know what I'm saying, fighting certain fronts, you know what I'm saying, against these particular kind of forces where we see clearly, you know what I'm saying, in order for us to advance, we have to have sober minds and not be distracted by the alcoholism, the drug abuse, you know what I'm saying, the unstrategic sex, you know what I'm saying, the lack of eugenics, you know what I'm saying, and things of this particular nature when it comes to us being distracted from real spiritual cultivation of ourselves in a body politic environment that's constantly at war, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to constantly at war when it comes to certain social realities. You know what I'm saying? Now with that particular area of information dealing with these race relations again, you know what I'm saying? Our independence, our sovereignty, and things of this particular nature has to be nursed. You know what I'm saying? We have to be nursed back to health. You know what I'm saying? In a language we can understand. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came with solutions. Partner Bobby Anoon came with solutions. You know what I'm saying? Master Farah Muhammad came with solutions. Noble Drew Ali came with solutions. You have a lot of brilliant brothers and and sisters came with solutions for us to improve our thinking ability. You know what I'm saying? Where we will be of some good use to ourselves regarding us being strong. You know what I'm saying? Regarding being in the midst of an environment where the wiles of Satan, you know what I'm saying, is at work. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of us being gods, right? Having value for knowledge itself, such as this, that shed light on our spiritual constitution, right? Now, for instance, this reality regarding our spirit bodies. Question: what is spirit and soul in relation to man? Now, regarding our cultural norms, we have these certain educated awarenesses about ourselves, right? In respect to man, his spirit is the shell for the soul, from which the emotional body and the ability to respond emotionally stems. The spirit is the life body. The soul is the emotional body that makes man responsible and concerned. The divine body and mentality of a person is the soul. Your soul, if you do not sell it to the devil, lives on. You need your soul to get to the next realm. Yourself is made up of three things: the soul, the spirit, and the body. The spirit, nafs, is the skin of the soul. If this is kept healthy, you can live on consciously. If not, it wears away and you are left with only the soul, which goes back into the wind, the roof. The soul is the etheric body, or essence, that connects the mind or mental flow to the spiritual world. Once that mental flow is cut, then the etheric world is cut off. Question: what is the etheric body? The etheric body, what is the etheric body? Answer: ether is a combination of all existing gases of nature. Your etheric body is energy and is equivalent to what you call spiritual beings. You have an electrical field that constantly comes into your body. The ether, you have, excuse me, you have an electrical field that constantly comes into your body. The elders cannot see you if your light is dim. That's why we gotta let our light shine. But certain forces want to dim our lights, and that's how the elders on the spirit in the spirit realm can see our light. And certain forces, you know what I'm saying, that go to work on attacking, you know what I'm saying, light beings on this side, you know what I'm saying, that they know is recognized by the beings on the other side because of our light on this side that we have, that where we show that we is doing the spiritual work to enhance through our higher selves, right? Our light bodies. You have an electrical field that constantly comes into your body. The elders cannot see you if your light is dim. Look around, you will see how many people lights is dim in our environment, in the society, and in the world. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to read that again, though. You have an electrical field that constantly comes into your body. The elders cannot see you if your light is dim. They don't see your physical body. They see our spiritual body. Powerful and spiritually, as an etheric being, you will live on. Prana Heya. No hunger, no grief, etc. The physical body is a composition of bacteria, of which, when you die, will turn back to dust. The physical is plaguing your soul. What man does is feed the bacteria as opposed to feeding the soul. So that's what we have to do. We have to feed our soul and spirit body. Feed our mind the right knowledge that enable us to strengthen our souls. What man does to feed the bacteria. The physical is plaguing your soul. What man does is feed the bacteria as opposed to feeding the soul. We have to get back to feeding the soul, our souls. When you need the physical body, when you feed the physical body, you neglect the spiritual body, and it becomes weak. You do so by your improper diet. You are doing more for the physical body and less for your soul. When you neglect things such as fasting and meditating, by doing this, you strengthen the physical body. Thus, the spiritual body has no growth. So we want our spiritual body to have growth by fasting, meditating, feeding the soul. Right? By doing this, you strengthen the physical. By doing this, right? If you, okay, for instance, I'm gonna read that again. By doing this, you strengthen the physical body. Thus, the spiritual body has no growth. So in order for our spiritual body to have growth, we have to feed the soul, feed the spiritual body through meditation, fasting, reading, contemplating and concentrating on the correct information that cultivate our souls. If you overindulge by too much eating and physical desires for your body and abuse your spirit body, you become attached to this plane. The Etherian beings will overlook you because they are looking for your ether, light body. Whether you will be able to go to the next level. When you were born in this world, doctors were here to help bring you in. Likewise, the Etherians do the same thing on the other side. Question. Now that's interesting. Like when we was born into this world, there was doctors on standby to help bring us, and nurses to help bring us into this realm. So it is likewise with the spirit world. The Etherians will be there to help us make our transition into that realm. Question. So if you are an emotional person, how will that affect your soul? Answer. The soul is also the emotional body. So if you have a good emotional body, you feed your spirit and you'll have a good spirit. Negativity, bad thoughts, depression, etc. makes you spiritually sick, and your soul is cut off from the etheric world. When you're emotionally off balance, it is because you are too physical. That's why I've been spiritual for quite some time now, regarding my spiritual growth and development in terms of my walk, doing the work that I have to do to metamorphosize and transform, you know what I'm saying, through my renewed mentality regarding transformation, transmutation, transfiguration. You know what I'm saying? It's things we have to pay attention to, you know what I'm saying, with our time that we live while we here. You gotta think big. Forget all that small time, trivial stuff that ain't got nothing to do, that don't have nothing to do with our true spiritual science and nation building and body politic. You know what I'm saying? It's real talk here. You must realize that your physical self is not the real you. The real you is inside. The soul is the real you. The divine in you, which is from the gods that procreated you. This is why it says in John 10:34, and I quote, "Is it not written in your law? I said, ye are gods. And all of ye are children of the Most High." You can control the outer you because you can move your arms, legs, etc. But there is something greater that controls your heartbeat, digestive system, blinking the eye, and that is the inner you, the real you. That's another part of the real you. When you stare at yourself for a long time in the mirror, you see your face beginning to change. That you that you're looking at is the inner you, and it will tell the truth. It will tell you this is wrong, or cut the bull. When you feel yourself fighting inside, that means there's a battle going on between the 180 degrees of agreeable good in you and the 180 degrees of disagreeable or evil side of you, or bad side of you. To do agreeable or good, and 180 degrees of the disagreeable bad, to do agreeable or disagreeable things. And only one must prevail. Me knowing this particular science, right, I exercise the positive side of my will. You know what I'm saying? That's what I choose to exercise. Now, this is his will. This is his willpower, enabling man to make his own decisions, therefore making him responsible for his own actions. Question: Who are these etheric beings that will take us to the next level? Answer: they are what you call the guardians. They are what you call guardians or guardian angels from the planet Risk, different realms regarding the spirit world of our true spiritual science, Nuwabu, of our cultural realities, terminologies that we have to get in tune with through tapping into non-mind qualifying information regarding us being non-ether beings connected with the combination of all existing gases regarding the ethers, the vibrations of truth and reality, right? Now question, disregarding, okay, read the book, Man from Planet Risk. These guardians are your Etherians who transform to riskiness, just as you transform from fish into human beings, right in our mother's womb. What you call death is transforming from one state to another. Riskians are from the 8th planet Risk in the 19th star constellation of Ilion and are 7 feet tall with silvery hair and very similar to angelic beings in human form. They are the providers and they police the universe in respect as far as being responsible for living things and keeping the universe in balance as it expands. They are what you call guardians or guardian angels, angelic beings, being tuned into the world of the spiritual means being in tune with the light. It is the light sent from God to man regarding the light, a gift. It is a light channeled by Al-Keter, the green one, from God to man. It is a light mentioned oftentimes and not understood. A light connecting the physical body to the spiritual body. It shines into the darkness of the universe, into the darkness of the earth, into the darkness of the body of man, and the darkness comprehends it not yet, as stated in the New Testament, right? John 1:3-5, right? Where it states that all things was made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In the Most High was life, and the life was the life of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. The great goddess was made by the great goddess. All things was made by the great goddess. And without the great goddess was not anything made that was made. In her was life, and the life was the light in men and women, and the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. In the beginning, their only concern for coming to this planet was what they could get from you and your planet, like resources. No one came here to help you until countries. Excuse me. Let me read this. Okay, in the beginning. Okay, I got. Okay, I'm right. Okay, right here. In the beginning, their only concern for coming to this planet was what they call, what they could get from you and your planet, like resources. No one came here to help you until centuries after your birth, and they took a personal concern in you. However, they are only interested in a few hard-working group of 144,000 only if you prove yourself. Now, regarding this 144,000 compared to everyone on this planet, right? That's a percentage of people. So, in light of these terminologies regarding the spirit world and spiritual teachings, right? How can we actually put the work in if we constantly distracted by all kind of things? Well, we don't even have this kind of stuff on our mind. But this continues to read, right? Well, it's making a certain point for where in what I'm about to read are signs for those who have an understanding. In what I'm about to read are for those who have an ear to hear. What I'm about to read are for those who put use to their thoughts to comprehend this information that I'm sharing. That's designed for us to have our souls right. Question: how can one become or be amongst the chosen few? 144,000 or chosen few. Answer: become incorruptible. Now, think about all the corruption in the world. You know what I'm saying? As far as us want to become purified. You know what I'm saying? Become of the purified essence. Ain't that beautiful? You know what I'm saying? I remember once upon a time when I was incarcerated, right? During my time, looking forward to coming home. We was in a group called Impulse Control. And I remember, she was a European psychologist, and she asked me a question regarding me being one person who was in a particular group of people, and asked me, specifically talking to me about, what did I want in life, you know what I'm saying? Like, what did I really want to become, you know what I'm saying, outside of the prison gates? I just wanted to live a life of purity. I just want to be pure. You know what I'm saying? And ever since I made that transition, you know what I'm saying, from that experience, I'm out here doing very well. You know what I'm saying? Keeping in remembrance the divine teachings, you know what I'm saying, of my true spiritual science, which is causing me to experience better living as a result of my spiritual disciplines that I've been carrying into practice for myself, right? That go hand in hand with this right here, to become incorruptible. You know what I'm saying? Forget the corruption. You know what I'm saying? The disobedience out here is a source of the corruption. And we can see the corruption. You know what I'm saying? So we have to become incorruptible. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the Antichrist activities, or the term like behold the pale horse, and the meaning of Christ, one who come to crush the wicked. You know what I'm saying? We have to be made incorruptible, free from the corruption. You know what I'm saying? So this goes on to read, now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither do corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. That's powerful. Death is swallowed up in victory. So stay true to the righteous path of protecting our souls from the unclean incorruption, from the unclean corruption, so we can become encapsulated, you know what I'm saying, in purity, being purified ones, the al-muklasinas, you know what I'm saying. So be proud of being a purified one. You know what I'm saying? Be proud of being a purified one in a world like this. You know what I'm saying? This is beautiful. Become supreme beings once again, baby. Supreme being means supreme amongst beings. You know what I'm saying? You got people be telling you, ain't nothing special about you. They don't want you to feel there's something special about you, but it is something special about me and you. You know what I'm saying? These suckers be speaking down on us, want us to feel like we ain't good enough or we ain't nobody, especially if we ain't got no money or something. You know what I'm saying? Where we is valued by what we have. Naked we came in, naked we leave. Don't forget the supreme wisdom of God. That is our weapon against the technology of the devil. So these women, all they want to, they can fall for the bait, hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, we designed and wired to love the woman. But who do they listen to? The material world. The material girls. All that ain't nothing but distractions to get them caught up too. But I ain't going with them because I'm paying attention to the supreme wisdom of the Most High. That is the true guidance. Separate ourselves from the unclean things of this world and don't get caught up by the corruption. This is real talk here. Become supreme beings once again. Supreme beings mean supreme amongst beings. So if you value enlightenment, right, and you want to let your light shine amongst people, right? Certain forces gonna hate on you, but it come with the territory. Because we still gotta what? Be the best we can be. Not only in the army, but in the army of the Most High, baby. You know what I'm saying? In the army of the Most High, baby. With the armor of the Most High on at all times. Now check this out, right? become supreme beings once again. What happened? Once again. So if you're not that now, you know what I'm saying? Who are you? What kind of low state you done fell into? You know what I'm saying? When we is supposed to be in higher states than what we supposed to be. If we not supreme beings, you lower than being a supreme being. So what state of mind is you in? You ain't got no God consciousness. You know what I'm saying? The weapons of our warfare, you know what I'm saying, is not carnal but mighty through the Most High. When we cast down certain imaginations that try to exalt itself above the wisdom of the Creator, you know, they say nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the wisdom of the Most High. You feel me? Nobody is above the wisdom of Nobody is above the wisdom of the Most High. Take it or leave it alone. Told you. Only fools duck when the truth is thrown at them, baby. But a wise man like me, I catch it. And I score touchdowns. I hit grand slams with it, baby, when I catch it. When I catch it. You know what I'm saying? The truth. I hit the game-winning shot, baby. You know what I'm saying? Against the foolishness. Feel me? Become supreme beings once again. Supreme beings means supreme amongst beings. But you have fallen down to the ranks of men. Look how far and low men have fallen. Fuck that. Get up, man. Get up, women. You know what I'm saying? Become the supreme beings that we supposed to be in this world that talk down on us. We know better who we are. You feel me? We supreme beings. We above just being mere men and women that this world try to put on us. You know what I'm saying? We supreme beings with etheric connections with the Najaru, the Netaru, our Kemetic ancestors. You know what I'm saying? We connected with forces and spiritual forces that reflect us as being supreme beings. This goes on to read Psalms 82, 6-7. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But you shall die like men and fall like one of the princes, right? A human being, right? A human being becomes a supreme being when he changes or transcends from mortal to immortal, a son of God, or woman of God, or what we masters call a self-perfected man or woman, like the angelic beings. Or for instance, like according to the story, right, in Christianity, in the language you can understand, when the angelic being Gabriel, when he appeared to Mary, the mother of the Messiah, Yahshua, right, in Luke 1:30. And the angel said unto her, fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with the Most High, the great goddess, right? Luke 1:19. And the angel answering said unto him, I am Gabriel, that stand in the presence of the Most High and am sent to speak unto thee and to show thee these glad tidings, right? A person learns and becomes supreme through positive prayers, positive meditation, proper exercise, proper food intake, cheerfulness, unselfishness, patience, being given, and always remembering the Almighty, right? The Creator, our Most High, right? When you surrender all you love and your will to God, right? Forever in your heart. Or say for instance, like according to our true spiritual science, right? That's giving us guidance in the right way. Even when people on levels, a level you can understand by accepting Black Yahshua or the real Christ of the scriptures, or your spiritual walk, right? Your spiritual conviction, right? This message is for all people, wherever you at in your spiritual awareness, to become the best version of yourself as a supreme being, right? When you surrender all you love and your will to the Most High and stamp Yahshua or Horus, the real Messiah, the real Christ, the Kemetic Karast of Egypt, forever in your heart, you will be able once again to regain the use of the third eye. That's why it is said that they will be able to leave the physical body and rise up. They will no longer need the physical and the material world. This is why Yahshua said in Matthew 6:19-21 that lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth rust do corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. Now lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither nor moth nor rust do corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasures is, there will your heart be also. Once you get your desires and once under control, you will be ruler of the body instead of the body ruling you. At this point, the body is no longer in need, and you have become a supreme being. By regaining that supreme stature, you then become children of the Most High. Psalms 82:6. I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? So in knowing that these spiritual exercises enable us to be fit, you know what I'm saying, in a way where, you know what I'm saying, we can go against any of this stuff out here and come out victorious. Question: when people ascend to the spiritual plane, is it during sleep hours? The physical body appeared to be in slumber or in a trance during the hours of sleep. It is quite easy to ascend accidentally. Sleep is the time when the spiritual body can act freely upon the physical body, drawing the spirit and soul upward. Sleep is also the time when one is apt to receive spiritual impressions. Like for instance, like in history, in certain recordings or certain um, texts of spirituality, it was certain individuals who got divine messages in their dreams, right? Which they took as a message where the Most High communicated with them regarding certain dreams while they was in the dream state as a result of getting rest. They dream dreams to where they got divine communications of the Creator. So when they woke up in a wake state, you know what I'm saying, they took that as a sign regarding the messages that they got in the dreams that actually turned it out to be something true as a divine revelation. Now that's deep right there. So that goes to show you how the Most High is mental. Everything is of divine mind. Everything we see is a manifestation of divine intellect, of the mind power of the Creator. The Creator in this existence, which is mental, right? There is an existing you. The highly spiritual energies coming from you. The physical body has two life cords, the umbilical cord and the ethereal cord. It is when this etheric cord that you are linked with the Etherians that will come for you when it is time. The thin cobweb-like ethereal cord is invisible only to the naked eye. Yet it is the link between the physical body and the spiritual plane. Just as at birth the umbilical cord is cut and you are released from your mother, at death the ethereal cord is cut when you die, and you are free from the physical plane only if you master desire. If the ethereal cord has been broken by accident on the spiritual plane, the physical body, which lies in a state of sleep, dies, and the spirit can never return to the physical body. Such accidents are rare, yet there is a history of such incidents among spiritual travelers of the mental and physical plane into the spiritual plane. But through death, regarding the holy tablets, 136 through 141, when the breath of life ceases to exist in human beings, the ethereal cord and the spiritual body is cut. This allows the person to live an extended and independent ethereal life, much like when a baby is born. The umbilical cord is cut from the mother, which he or she once depended upon. The baby comes out and beings and begins a new life. Right? These is demonstrations of the spirit body and the physical body, dealing with the physical plane and etheric plane. Now, how does the supreme beings view us, right? They see you all as the most backwards, egotistical, destructive creatures on the planet Earth that don't know their right foot from their left. Think about that. How did this the our etheric parents look at us on this planet. That's something to think about. We got a lot of growing to do. But yet, in a lot of cases, we don't even get access to these particular kind of teachings that condition us to even think this way. You know what I'm saying? To even want to have the desires to become supreme beings due to being products of our environment that programmed us differently. But yet, our ancestors, you know what I'm saying, always knew the great return was inevitable for us to get back into knowing ourselves, which is what this right knowledge is about. Now, how does the supreme beings view us? They see you all as the most backwards, egotistical, destructive creatures on the planet that don't know their right foot from their left foot. This chart shows the degeneration of human beings, from him being divine down to him being cursed. Degeneration of the divine in you. The divinity in a lot of men and women has degenerated into lack of divinity. That's why they be acting so crazy and egotistical and materialistically nuts out here. You know what I'm saying? Relationships all haywire and sour and crazy, and people acting funny, backstabbing, and haters of those who trying to doing good. You know what I'm saying? It's just backwards, like they just said. It's backwards, but that's how Satan love it. You know what I'm saying? Satan love for y'all to be backwards in his twisted world. Well, to y'all be y'all way, to me mine, because me, my house, we about the most highest knowledge. Like this is speaking about the degeneration of the divine being, supreme being. A lot of these, like how we, like say for instance, a lot of us who we feel that we, you know what I'm saying, we on that path being gods and supreme beings, right? Amongst other beings who are of low low stature spiritually, because of them reducing themselves through the delicacies of the great whore, the harlot that sits on many waters, drunk from the fornication of her intoxicating delicacies. Now, this fall though, regarding the degeneration of the divine being, supreme being, to human beings, to humans, to man, to mammals, to beasts, to demons. Fuck demon time. You know what I'm saying? It's about being a supreme being time. You know what I'm saying? And stop letting that negative kind of language, that demon time language, have space in y'all minds for y'all to be programmed with that kind of foolishness. You know what I'm saying? It's about being supreme being time. Supreme being time. You know what I'm saying? Regarding the higher selves. That's 100. You know what I'm saying? We are supreme beings. The stage from being a supreme being is to be, look, watch this. The stage from being a supreme being is to be a human being. The word human is the same as the Latin word Homo sapien, that describes the nature of a being. A submissive being is a being that is solely submissive to the laws of nature, such as voluntary and involuntary functions like appropriation, eating and digestion, assimilation, absorption and used, elimination of body waste and food debris, human, physical composition, what he is, his nature, man. This is what you start to regress to. Just a warm-blooded animal mammal. If you get the gift of divinity back, you will be right. But until then, you don't know anything because something is missing. Even with what you know, you still don't know anything compared to the universe. So that's what we want to know as far as us being supreme beings of the universe. Like in our teachings that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us regarding the message to the black man. Whether you in the nation as a registered Muslim or not, the book applied to all of us regarding us being black men, right? In terms of that school of thought. Who is the black man? The maker, the only, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. You know what I'm saying? In addition to our black woman being the goddesses of the universe. Because we are twin halves of the same divine essence. Right? Now with that said, positive energy activate constant elevation. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I'm finna get this particular other reading. Hold on. I'm back. I found what I was looking for regarding, my actual conclusion, right? Regarding the differences, you know what I'm saying, of why we don't get taught in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? This is why. Now, for instance, right, in the United States of America, the central societal ego complex is represented by the white American ruling middle classes and related white groups, right? These classes and groups generally seek to determine and govern the character and behavior of the societal whole in such ways as to maintain and enhance their wealth, power, and domination. The activities, resources, powers, and perceptions of the subordinate group, meaning us, or other what's considered minorities, through the political correctness terminologies of the United States government, right? Regarding the activities, resources, powers, and perceptions of the subordinate group complex and less influential social groups are regulated and exploited by the white American community in ways that legitimize and strengthen that ruling complex dominant position. The subordinate group ego complex refers to African Americans community and related low status groups. See the terminologies there? Low status groups. See how people put labels on you that's demeaning, subordinate, which paint a picture of you being a subjugated individual that's under them, that's not equal. But mind you, we come from a culture of being supreme beings. So some psychological trick knowledge and trick knowledges, disinformation experts, right? Who know about the reality of who he is, but we've been conditioned to think less of ourselves because of this particular societal group complex of people who manipulate words, you know what I'm saying, project them onto you for you to accept as a reality that a lot of people do. And wonder why individuals out here got inferiority complexes. And we see them acting out that behavior as a result of the pressures of their oppressive reality. So instead of confronting reality and changing that reality, you know what I'm saying, individuals perpetuate their own enslavement. No, we know better. So what we do, you know what I'm saying, is that we embrace the reality of who we really are, that get rid of that nonsense they've been trying to put in our heads. You know what I'm saying? So in light of us identifying with our true cultural terminologies, meanings, definitions, in light of right knowledge, you know what I'm saying, we have a grip on the real reality of tapping into our true powers. You know what I'm saying? So, in light of this transmission, right? Stay encouraged, my people. Stay successful. You know what I'm saying? The best way you can out here. You know what I'm saying? And arm yourself with knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That we may be powerful in all areas of people activity. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with education, entertainment, economics, labor, law, sex, you know what I'm saying, and politics, you know what I'm saying, just may we be strong in them areas to where we consolidate power, you know what I'm saying, in a way that work in service of our upliftment, to where we is doing the right thing with our power. Peace and love. Talk to y'all soon. Much love.